I'm Jake Mills. I'm a comedian and the CEO of Chasing the Stigma. I'd never had any kind of history of depression or any kind of mental illness of any kind. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what depression was. I didn't know the feelings that I was kind of feeling, the thoughts and the experiences with depression were a thing. So I just kind of covered it up, which I think a lot of people do, and that's part of the problem. I went to see a counsellor. It didn't really work for me. It took me 3 doctors before a doctor actually talked to me about depression and actually told me that antidepressants were an option, but it took 3 doctors for that to happen. I was discharged by the counsellors being fit and healthy, but that was 2 to 3 weeks before I actually tried to take my own life. I didn't ever think that I'd be somebody who tried to take my own life. I didn't think I'd be someone who was depressed. So it was kind of a shock to me and to everybody around me. How I felt when I was depressed was like living in a bubble. I was aware of the outside world. I was in the outside world, but I couldn't feel it. I couldn't connect to it. I couldn't channel any of my thoughts or any of my feelings or emotions. So me head would say that I should feel a certain way, but my body, my heart couldn't feel it. I was begging for like a clear thought, to be able just to have a thought where I can go, okay, I've got a plan, or a way through. And then just one day I got a clear thought, which was kill yourself. So I had absolutely no reason to doubt it at all. It was just made absolute sense to me. And I'm lucky enough to be here today to talk about it and to learn about all the experiences that other people have gone through. And I still hear to this day that people say that suicide is a selfish act, and I hear people say that all the time. And they'll say, well, what about your family? What about the people you're leaving behind? What about the people like your parents, your sister, your girlfriend? What about all them? Why wouldn't you think about them? But I did think about them. In fact, they were the reason I was doing it, because I thought it would be better for them. I felt like I was a burden to them. I didn't feel like I could be helped at all. So the more that they tried to help me, the worse it made me feel. So yeah, I did think about them, and for me it wasn't a selfish act, it was a selfless act. But it was only afterwards, when I got to see their reaction and I got to see actually what my act and what I was about to do was actually the effect that was going to have on them. It was only then that I realised how wrong I was. I think with men, what kind of a lot of men struggle with is the idea of how to talk to each other. And I think the biggest problem is the idea of vulnerability. It's about, for me, I think there's a myth that men don't want to talk. I think men do want to talk. I think men just don't know how to talk, or where to talk, or when is the right time to talk, or the right way to talk. So I think for me, it's about giving men the options, giving them the kind of the toolkit to have those conversations, the license to joke about it if that's how they want to do it. It's kind of looking at it from a different angle, a different point of view, but also I think it's about really challenging the stereotypes that men seem to have. I think it's it is changing, but there's a hell of a long way to go. And I think it's just, we have to look at different ways of doing that, and how we can kind of have conversations different ways now. And I think an important thing to do is to sometimes have a conversation without having a conversation, in that there's certain things you can use by sharing stuff on social media and stuff. You're able to have a conversation without having that conversation. All of us, everyone in the world has mental health, but none of us are being prepared of what to do if our mental health struggles or kind of deteriorates in any way. The same way that our mental health will deteriorate at some point, your mental health is likely to as well. But the difference is, if it's your physical health, you know and understand the process to get better. If it's your mental health, you have absolutely no idea. So it's about educating people. It's about saying, yeah, it's absolutely normal. It can happen to anyone for any given reason. And also, it doesn't have to be suicidal thoughts. It can be as kind of minor as just feeling down and feeling low, but that's all part of your mental health. So it's about kind of generalising and normalising mental health as a topic, because I think sometimes you can say mental health and people will assume it's a bad thing. The amount of times people say to me, oh, I've had mental health as well. Like, no, you do have mental health. Everyone has mental health. Mental health isn't a problem. Mental ill health can be a problem. So it's about kind of challenging that, you know, we've got that charity called Chasing the Stigma, and that stigma is real, it does exist, but the only way you can challenge stigma is by educating people exactly why it's wrong.